Hello, hello, everyone. Welcome. We've got some awesome people here today. I see you, Kristen, Steve, Jennifer. Hi. Oh, my goodness, David. I know that face. How is everyone this morning? Zara Faisal, my goodness, lady. I haven't seen you in forever. Hi, welcome. We are starting and we are also streaming live on Facebook. So, hello, Facebook. I'm going to start you all out by just giving a little introduction into myself and also showing you my reel. So, here we go on that.
Oh, pretty colors. Nico likes this shape. Careful! Why are you sad, friend? You have powerful legs, like warrior or sand flea. You make a funny face. Big boy with a heart of gold.
I'm still working on a stamper. Then there's Yasuo, our captain. Nothing faces this guy. Watch. Heads up!
Jinx is wild. Break everything. Phew, phew. I like Angry Yardo. Stab, stab, knuckles. Scowl!
I will slay you where you stand. Dinner tonight?
You shall fall on your folly. Meet me at the South Docks after dark.
What are you staring at?
Just your face hair. Face! And hair. Oh no.
I love some of the voice acting they have in these.
Hi, thanks so much for watching that. So, I'm Jessica Kent, as you saw twice. And a little bit about me. I have been, gosh, into video games my whole life, but I've been in the video game industry for the last 10 years. Well, more so now than 10. I started out very young as an actor and a singer. I've been involved in entertainment since I was 6 years old. And then eventually I moved behind the camera and to my passion, which is games. I was at Riot Games for the last 6 years, of course, as you saw. I worked on League of Legends and Legends of Runeterra, in addition to Champions, music videos, skins, the whole nine that we do if you're familiar with Riot products. So it was an incredible experience to be a part of a dev team like that. And amazingly talented people. But one thing that I noticed when I was working there is that for video games specifically, our pool of actors is actually quite small, significantly smaller than a lot of our needs are at the time. And while these 70 people are incredibly talented and, just the skill level is off the charts, the more you grow and develop as a company and the more titles you develop, there tends to be a potential shortage of actors that know what to do to make a video game come alive. And that is why essentially I developed this course. And it came about a bit in the middle of Legends of Runeterra recording. We had an incredible cast. My first production schedule for that was 217 characters that we were able to split between 79 actors. Now, that was just the first offering. If you follow Legends of Runeterra, you could see that they have offered more packs since then. So that's more and more characters, and the number just grows infinitely. So pack 5 or 6, have we run out of actors? Will they be able to find new voices that are able to convey and perform what is necessary in video games? So that is the development of sort of the inception of where this course came about. It was just me essentially every day explaining to actors that didn't have experience in video games or weren't gamers themselves, weren't familiar with our products, the specifics, the technical aspects of what it means to be an actor in video games. So that is, of course, the title of my my class is the Tech of Acting for Video Games. Bear with me one second. I'm going to go to my other screen and just give you a little bit of an outline. So let me go ahead and share that for you. So essentially, this is the title page, The Tech of Acting for Video Games. And I call it an introduction to the 3 Ps. Now, what are the 3 Ps? That's probably not something you've heard before because I made it up. So for me, it's actually based off of the things that we need to happen in certain types of video games, more so than those that are single player. So the 3 Ps are essentially purpose, position, and pace. And so this is sort of an agenda of what we go through in the course that I am offering in October through THNEA and the Help Network. So purpose is sort of, it's an intro to the world of video games, the tropes, the archetypes, the lingo. If you're a gamer, you probably would know a lot of these words, but do you know them in relationship to how we would use them as developers, or how an engineer would use them, or somebody in narrative or character creation? It changes a little bit in that language. So understanding that language from a development aspect actually will be able to help you decode sides, get into the character, make stronger choices, and really hone in on what that particular audition is looking for, even if they put very little information on there. Now, the second part we go into in my class is position. Now, this is specifically for the kind of video games that have their audio mix sort of in one unit. There's a lot of technical audio stuff I'm not going to get into because it's it barely means anything to me, but essentially they sort of layer in all the sound into one sort of chunk, and that's what you hear playing through the games. A lot of your sandboxes, your onlines, your MOBAs, MMOs, anything where there is sort of an open world style or multiplayer aspect, all of that VO, all of those efforts, the emotes, they're all baked into the same file that has the audio mix, that has the ambient environment, that has the SFX and everything else that's popping off the announcer. It all sits in sort of one thing. So for the actor, it means that they're essentially in competition with these other things in position. So that's sort of what we get into and talk about. Now, a really important one, which if you've auditioned or worked in video games before, or legal copy for that matter, is pace. So there's a lot of things that we do to actors in the booth. Can you die faster? Can you, be in love slower, or whatever nonsense that we try to get. But what the actor doesn't understand is there are technical aspects and specificities that we are attempting to match. So while I'm not going to get into how to be an audio engineer, what I'm going to do is sort of give you an exercise and a workout in how to successfully get into pacing, or where pacing might be something that you would consider in an audition. What are the instances where pace might be crucial to the read? So helping you sort of decode those kinds of things is really helpful. Decoding is something that you will hear me talk a lot about, and that is for very important reasons. Studios like Riot and Blizzard and EA and, there's a lot to protect in the world: data, security, engineering, the whole nine. And the one area for potential leaks more than anything is actually in the voiceover, because now we have to take our secrets and things that we're going to be releasing, and we have to give them to somebody else in order to get back our auditions. You have seen varying levels of information on any of those sides that you get. And a lot of that reason has to do with secrecy. More so than an NDA leaks happen. And a lot of your studios are going to be really, really careful in what they release to actors and studios and things like that, because the potential for it getting out, because it's outside of the company walls now, is great. So a lot of times what they'll do is they'll limit that information that they give you. And we sort of go into how to decode just from scripts, just from sides. If you've never played a game, I'm going to show you how to decode a script that might be missing some vital information for you, where you need to pick up volume, pop it, punch it, land finally, things like that in position. We'll be able to decode that just from the audition itself. And then finally, where's pacing going to be important? So that is essentially what the class is. It's essentially a 2-day intensive. Our current dates are October 15th and 22nd. They're both Thursdays. The class will be from 7 to 10. So essentially it's one class, unless you guys really love it and email HelpNet and say, we need more classes. But essentially it's a 2-day intensive because we really, really get into it. This is a workshop workout, right? Like, so we're not just going there and listening to me talk. We're going to work together. We're going to read several times. We're going to go through some exercises. And I will have some surprise content that's equally important at the end as well. That is essentially the meat and potatoes of what I'm getting into today, but I would love to open it up to some questions from anybody that is here. Do you, want to know more about the course? Do you want to know more about what it's like being in development? Don't be shy. Feel free to ask away. Oh, more things I probably need to tell you about. Julian's just let me know that there are 10 spots left in the class, and he will share the link as he has there for you for those tickets. It's $125 for the total class, so both days included, and 7 to 10 p.m. That is correct. But yeah, if anybody has any questions, I would love to answer them. Oh, hi, Zara. I saw you say hi. I love it. Can you die faster? It's true, Catherine. I've probably said that more times than I would like to admit. And the reason for that is, of course, the pacing. Deaths are important to video games because if you are the one bestowing the death on the enemy team, you need to feel it, right? You need to have that moment where it's like, yes, I got you. I got that kill shot. And for the person who did the dying, unfortunately, a lot of times it's me. I'm very into games, but I'm not amazing at them. It's my husband's way better. But for the person who had the dying happen to them, you don't want to drag it on too long or make it too upsetting, because then, they flipped their computer and then they just broke everything. And it's really, really sad. So yes, dying faster is, I think Sarah, did I say that to you? I might have. Zara Faisal is League of Legends voice for Kale, which is a very, very powerful celestial, and she's amazing. But yes, I've probably said that to her a time or two. And in my class, if she wants to attend, she'll find out why I want her to die faster. But it is so true. Oh my gosh, everybody knows each other. I love it. It's so much fun. So quick question. Actually, that I got from somebody who's not attending. Is it important to go to both classes? It is. So, or both days rather, if you're booked for that class. The reason being is because we get into, like I said, it's a workout really more than anything. There's me explaining things, but the second it's out of my mouth, we're going to get right into, exercises, reading, and various other materials that we go through for each of these things, for each of these P's that we talk about. So yes, you would need to make both days to really get the full out of it. The first day is essentially the first 3. just because they're not easier, but essentially pacing is so technical, and you'll be reading. You'll be doing a little bit ADR as well to picture. So doing that, and obviously this is a Zoom situation. I'm not in the classroom with you, unfortunately. So you have to make a little time for glitches and things. That happen. So Jennifer's asking a question. Is the class geared more towards beginners, or does it have enough deep dive for somebody who's fairly well versed in video games already and is looking for more critical practice and feedback? Absolutely, it is for everyone. I've tested this class out on a lot of friends, specifically gamers. As I said before, the language that you use as the gamer might be different or have other aspects about how we use that in the development aspect. So not only are you going to learn the difference between those two, but you're going to get that inside information on that that side. So I'm kind of, without violating any NDAs, I'm sort of peeling back the process to give you more information. So you have that not only when it's there to use, but also when it's not present on the sides. I would say, Jennifer, the first part, we're going to go through a lot of vocabulary. You would have some familiarity with quite a bit of it. More towards the gamer side, I will give you some tidbits, but I would say, honestly, that's probably the one part of it that you will have the most familiarity with. The position and the pace aspect, you might have seen it in games, but how it is executed, why, and an actual understanding. Like, I'm going to give you videos and audio files so you can hear in real time, or see in real time what you are looking to do and what we're looking to accomplish. So that would probably be significantly meatier for you. And for those that are beginners to games, and I'm talking to you about vocabulary and purposes and tropes and archetypes, and you're starting to freak out, don't. I realize that I am essentially dumping in your brain box about 15 years of information as a gamer, and 10 on the other side, both with acting and the dev side as well. So I have handouts and class materials and things, so you don't realize that essentially in 6 hours, I'm going to tell you everything you need to know about video game VO. So don't forget about that. If you're new, or if you are very experienced and you love games and you've probably beaten me online, mostly at FPSs already. I'm the one dying for you, just in case. You'll be able to get a lot out of this, because I'm telling you the stuff that you didn't know. Now, if you worked in video game audio or voiceover producing, you're going to know this stuff. Will you know how to execute it? Probably. If you're an amazing actor, I'm sure you will. That's probably the person this is not for. It's not for me. Okay, so David asks, how, if any way, does the process change when casting directing for a voice that the team knows will be digitally altered in post? Very good question. Are the actors able to hear what the character sounds like as they are recording? Have there been difficulties that have come up because of this? David, this is a very smart question, and the answer is yes to all of those things. So the first part, the process does change. Not so much necessarily for the actor, because we are going with your performance. We've chosen you based your audition. So there's something in that audition that we like, or we're going to go towards. So if you do get called back, if you do get booked, always review your auditions if you can, just because that's going to give you an idea of potentially the direction we might be going. There's a lot of things. For Zara, I know she's like, stop calling on me. I'm sorry, Zara. I love you. You're amazing. So for her character, for Kale, as you saw, Kale was the Justicar. That's essentially the judge, jury, and executioner, really, in with the helmet and the wings and things like that. So Kale's voice specifically has a helmet style processing. Zara's got impeccable diction, so for her it was a breeze. But for a lot of processing, sometimes diction is really highly important because of what we're going to essentially be doing. to you essentially after your voice rather, after we get and push all those buttons. So it depends. I will say for Thresh, if you play League of Legends, is a underworld, think Hades, if you will. For those that aren't familiar, heavy processing, lots of deep underworld sounds, lots of hissing, things like that happen. And so we record the actor in a specific way, and potentially, not necessarily for Thresh, but potentially we take things slightly slower, or we take things a little bit faster, or whatever it is we need to do. Zara, you're so sweet. I love you. She's just being sweet. So anyway, will the actor be able to hear what they're going to sound like? That depends on so many things. If it's a new character in a game and not a redo or things like that, probably not. A lot of what happens in dev is simultaneous. So we'll be in VO recording, and we'll come to a section that's a weird color, and it's like, what's this weird color? It's like, well, we really hope to have that in the game by the time this thing releases. So sometimes we have it ahead of time. As a producer, and even as a director, I always advocate for my actors, having been one myself, but it is so important to me to give the actor as much as I possibly can. It's sometimes not possible because of security reasons, NDA secrecies, things like that, where people are in the dev process. Maybe they haven't finished essentially the mix that is going to be the final alteration of that voice. There's so many factors. If you have a really nice producer that cares about actors, I hope they have it for you if it's available. I wouldn't count on it though. Most of the time, a lot of those features are being simultaneously done in tandem. So we just wouldn't have that. What I like to do is, if I don't have sound bites, files, things, anything to show, examples, other examples that exist in the world, pictures, things like that, whatever I can do to essentially help that actor connect with what is a fantastical creation that we're going to be essentially making the voice of in real time. So I wouldn't count on that. It's a blessing when it happens, just because it helps you as the actor, but it's hard to do for a lot of the time. As far as the difficulties in, as far as there's a lot of difficulties. Maybe what the audio designer and the team really wanted doesn't work, and we have to re-record because we have to change the processing, or the processing was going to be this and then we change that because we can't get the actor back, or a lot of things. There are the amount of pivots that happen in video game world of development it's almost minute by minute, where you're going on a trajectory and you're doing a thing and you're scheduling stuff, and then it's like, just kidding, we're shifting. So yeah, it's one of those things you really have to roll with the punches on there. As an actor, there is zero way to prepare for the kind of processing that we're going to put on you. My hope is that your producers, your directors will be very, very generous in their explanation. If not during the audition process, in the actual session, sitting you down, showing you, giving you all the information we can, in a protected environment. But yeah, that's sort of, it can be convoluted. I would say, to answer your question, I would say the only real alteration that you would need to potentially be ready for is essentially pacing. How do you draw out a 3-word sentence to fill a minute or 45 seconds? It's a long time. How do you take what looks like a soliloquy or some kind of a monologue and have it happen in 3.5 seconds, which sounds like a long time, but if you're, 4 sentences into, some big master plan, you've got to find a way to make it work for your performance. And that's really what we talk about. Not only the instances of when to expect these things, but how do we as actors make that work for us in our mind? How do we sort of come to the truth or the congruence that we're going to take 45 seconds to say a 3-word, sentence and things like that. So we go through a lot of that as well, not only for the audition process, but for what you are in session. So I hope, David, that answers your question. From Catherine, will your class cover any physical technical stuff for this remote world, essential recording equipment, how to rig the space properly? That is not in my class, but I can give you just some tips. I will say that the work that I've done thus far, a lot of studios are sending equipment to the talent. The mic is important for certain games, right? Obviously, like Blizzard or things, you know, World of Warcraft, League of Legends, all these kinds of MOBAs that exist. You have to have at least a very similar sounding mic and preamp that you have through the whole game, because you can't have different characters sounding crazy all over the place. So I know that the last job we did, they literally, my actor had a very good physical setup, but they ended up sending the preamp because they had to have that. They ended up sending a laptop that they would obviously upload things on. It depends on the client and the security of a lot of those things. But it's not in my class specifically. It's really geared toward acting for video games and the technical aspects that I have discovered nobody tells you guys, which is, I'm like, but that's like, it's like big pieces of information. You sure you don't want to tell? Okay. So I'm telling you what that's all about now. So hopefully my actor pool can get bigger and bigger, because you know, Jen Hale and Courtney Taylor and Nolan North, one day they might not want to VO act anymore. And then we are going to be in trouble if we don't get these new crop up and ready. I will say, Catherine, a really actually pretty interestingly cheap way to have a physical space you can record in is your closet. The reason for that, sound dampening. There is not a lot of room in a closet that is essentially empty space. So controlling that empty space, like what you're seeing here, this is a nightmare for recording, right? I would need to have so much dampening on the walls, because right now my voice is essentially just bouncing off all of these walls in my office. So egg cartons, like the kind your eggs come in, staple them to your wall. It is sound dampening. That is literally what that foam is going to be better. It's pretty expensive though, but anything you can do to sort of reduce the space around you is going to be helpful. It's going to have a much better sound quality. She says, yeah, she's taken a class in a closet, and I have given a class in a closet before. So it's just the way that the VO goes, interestingly enough. But yeah, those are some great ways to sort of make your space work for you. I would also say, in addition to sort of rigging that space for you, honestly, I've told actors that were on vacation, I'm like, get on your hotel bed, every single cover and comforter over you, and literally, you know, like if it's a big bed, like put stuff around you, pillows, things like that. There are absolutely ways that you can make it work. And Jennifer's done the pillow fort too. So yeah, so see, you know the ones that you're looking for. You can get yourself, you know, a crazy Sennheiser mic or these various different preamps and things like that. And that would be great for your auditions, or maybe smaller developers that don't quite have the budget as the bigger developers to send you all that stuff. But what I've been seeing more than not, because aspects of audio and video games are so technical, they will send things to the talent if they don't have equipment that already matches what is needed. But we do that in studios. So even before pandemic, the studio I'm going to work with, if I have a talent that's in New York, I'm like, okay, I need a studio that has this mic, this amp that can do this, and all these other things that I don't even think about. I just let my audio talk to the engineer and they do the whole thing. So I think that the brilliant part of this is that, well, the brilliant part, if there is a quarantine, is it's really allowed the developers to really see that we can create content from a distance. We can successfully have a real meaningful connection between directors and talent over Zoom. It's a little bit of harder work on the director's part, but it's how we've adapted to continuing to make video games during a really hard time, which have subsequently gone up 70% in hours played in sales since February. So that's a big video game jump. Animation is the same. There's going to be a lot more of this content coming out because in-person media is really hard to create right now. So start saving your egg cartons, whatever you can do to reduce that space for yourself. I would recommend, just for auditions, having a decent mic, just because a crappy mic or an iPhone, it's not going to give the clarity in your audition. Question from Steve: gaming industry standards with respect to microphones, preamps? Absolutely not. I worked at one company for 6 years and I've used 15 different microphones. So it depends largely on the game. What are they trying to do? There are audio aspects that, even working so closely with audio, I don't even understand what they're trying to do. It's like, put this thing on it and this screen. And I'm like, I don't, whatever. And then they say, yes, it's perfect. And I go, great. Because I'm not really, I have a big understanding of that side, but I am not an audio engineer, unfortunately. Yeah, it varies. I can guarantee you that Andrea and Blizzard, she, and her team likes something very, very different than David and Alyssa over at Riot, or, the various people, Tony at Rockstar. Well, Tony's at Riot now. So anyway, wherever they are, everybody has their own preferences based on what we're attempting to do for that game. And generally speaking, Steve, there's not only one mic that works. There's like, they'll have like a preference, or like 2 or 3 mics or 2 or 3 preamps, just because it's hard to, let's say in Korea, make sure that they have the same amp that we do. So we have to be a little bit flexible, but essentially continuity of quality is what we're looking for in that moment. So does that answer your question? Awesome. Perfect. David, you're on a different screen than me, but did that answer your question, sir? You're feeling good about that? Awesome. Sorry, you changed your hair. It's crazy. I love it. Anyways, I was just like, yay. And she's got her kale background. Oh, and there's Charlie. Hello. Charlie has actually taken my class before. So
I have.
she has, and she is awesome. So Charlie, would you be able to share your feeling? I just want to try and reassure that if you are a noob, as we say in the gaming world, that you're not going to be terrified.
Yeah, it's so worthwhile doing. I mean, I was in a class, there was a whole variety of us, from new to people who have been in games. Like, I think I was in a class with Rob Morera. So there was a whole variety of us, and it doesn't matter what level you're coming in at. Jessica has a wealth of information that I personally found so insightful and inspiring. And that's why I'm back again, because I want to hear more. And it doesn't matter what level, whether you're coming in new or you've been doing it for years, you're definitely going to be learning something.
Oh, thank you, Charlie. That's so sweet.
Yeah,
So
you're
yeah,
amazing.
thank you. I mean, I have my days, but yeah, it's hard, right? Because if you're new to video games, it can be wildly overwhelming. But like I said, I'm going to send you your glossary. There's a lot of tips and tricks, some things personally that I have found through my fellow producers. These are some things that we like to see. These are some things we don't like to see. There's some special content. I'm not going to give it all away because that's what the class is for. But it's a lot of fun, but it's not one of, like, this is probably the most you'll hear me talk when it comes to this class, because it's a lot of it. I really want to get you in there and practicing, because it's one thing to know it. It's a whole other to have practiced it. And to be perfectly honest, your Jennifer Hales, your Troy Bakers, your Nolan Norrs, Laura Bailey, all of them, they didn't start out. I mean, like, I just started doing this, because of what essentially I discovered last year in building that game. So essentially what a lot of what they do is they do things a certain way because they've been told over and over again, this is how they do it, or they know that game, or they've worked on it before. So honestly, where we've gotten to the group of, the most well-known video game actors is all practice. And because video games are starting to prop up very, very fast, and a lot of them are going to start announcing production, because we've had that massive jump in video games happen due to the pandemic. We need to get you guys ready to audition now, as opposed to waiting years and then having you essentially figure it out as you go along. So I wanted to sort of front load that for you guys, so you get that inside track, so we can get more actors out there. The ones we have are amazing, but they're busy. Like, we cannot we can't rip you away from Nickelodeon to have you record something if you're already doing 5 shows there. So availability is huge, you know. And I think with the amount of this kind of content that we're going to be seeing, especially if, you know, pandemics or things like that continue to happen, it's just going to be more and more content. So the more ready that you can be as actors, frankly, the easier it is for me. Like, if I'm casting and I've got 300 amazing people, that's a big problem to have. I can tell you one of the issues, or not necessarily issues, but one of the hard parts that I had coming from this world is that even a lot of my fellow developers didn't know a lot about VO or actors. You know, they knew what they saw on movies or they heard on the radio, but that's the polished finished product. They're not going to understand the process and the things that we have to go in to get where we need to go. So there were times where there were actors and they're like, I don't know, his audition wasn't, you know, he didn't do this thing in the audition. And we would have to have these conversations where I, as the producer and on the VO team, go, exactly, he doesn't know he's supposed to do it because that's specific to this thing or this type of thing, but I can guarantee you I can get him to do it, you know, kind of a thing. And so if you all just know how to do it, and there's 300 of you sending them brilliant auditions, and then it's, you know, it's a kid in a candy store. So honestly, I guess this whole class is just, for me, basically, make my job easier, guys. Let me help you. No, like I said, I have a huge heart for actors, and whatever information, especially in an industry that can be as secretive as video games can be and often are. It's just really, really a blessing when you know what to do or what to think, or sort of have at least a set of directions to go in when you're looking at that kind of an audition or that kind of a callback. So it's me helping you. You guys are brilliant. You'll turn and help me, and it'll just be one big helping family, which is, and then we'll all work in video games and be happy, and it'll be great. But yeah, like Charlie said, you know, Rob, who's a brilliant actor himself, I mean, he's playing video games as long as I have. We had a very interesting conversation on how ColecoVision didn't quite get, you know, the what it was due, right? And how Sega just took over. But that's for us old folks back in the day. But even he was saying, like, yeah, I just had a session and I didn't know why I was doing it, but I was doing it. So it's kind of nice to know. I mean, you're not just a bunch of performing monkeys, right? You have these tools, and I'm just essentially giving you a couple more wrenches for this very specific kind of job. To answer another question from a friend who is being very bad by not being on the stream, is there acting involved in this too? Absolutely. Acting is 100% paramount to everything that we do. Like, none of us, it's a non-starter if you don't have those foundations in acting, which obviously I've taught and have done before. The reason this class is so specific is because I found nobody's teaching it. Nobody's telling you sort of those technical aspects that are really, really important to games. So I thought it would be really great to give you guys some more tools to pull out of from time to time, because they're very necessary. David asks, given the technical restraints of the types of lines required for video games, efforts, call out, ults lines, etc., how much space is allowed for the actor to improv? It depends on the character. It depends on the actor. It depends on what they bring. I think we have probably, pre-life is something that we had put in the game just because it worked. It was very much that character. Manial character had just a laugh that we hadn't planned in or something, but it worked so well with the line. It just depends, you know, if we're all in video games, I would say a lot more than other sort of types of media is that it's a really collaborative process. So you're going to get a script when you go into a session, and you're going to have all this stuff. We're going to give you this thing, this package, whatever. You're going to get into that session, and some of your lines are going to change because maybe the accent that we are using for your particular character doesn't work with the time constraints we have, or we can't get to the certain kind of volume level that we need with a certain kind of consonant. So what I usually love to do is have the writer present with me in the session. And they will actually write, rewrite, do different things to make it work with the actor. So we're really all kind of building the plane together. I mean, the shell's there, the idea is there, but getting it off the ground, you know, it's really a collaborative group effort, and the actor is very, very much involved. One of my favorite things is when an actor says a line or gives it a different flavor that even we didn't think of, and it works and it connects with the character, and it just I mean, it's goosebumps, right? Just talking about it, because video games are the only media that you get to participate in. In every other kind of media, it's a very voyeuristic relationship. You are watching other people do things. Even in books, you are imagining that world. You know, maybe you can identify with the heroine, but you're not really controlling, directing any of the movement, the management, or the experience that happens. And in games, you get to do that. You get to be a part of that moment. So creating that fantasy that is congruent on all aspects, the way they look, dress, walk, talk, you know, sound, emote, all of these things, it's all in service of creating a kind of fantasy that you want to embody as the player. So when these video game companies are developing these things, they have the player in mind. What is this player going to feel? How are they going to react? Does this feel like what we're creating for them? So that actor being a part of that is very, very much a part of it. Sometimes, depending, again, you could have a very, very specific character, and it's like, we're sticking to these things for reasons associated with lore or whatever. It's all across. But I would say, as an actor, always bring your own ideas and your own thoughts and your own choices. Even if you try them and they don't work, you could have just created something that gives us an idea for another line or whatever. So because it is that collaborative process, it's very much important to come ready to give us something we probably haven't even thought about before. It's an incredible moment when it happens and it connects and everybody in the room's like, oh, you know, and it's just this great thing, and it's amazing. So yeah, it varies how much space is allowed for the actor to improv. I would say pre-life when appropriate, always on your auditions, you know, it helps convey the understanding or the intention of what you're giving, the choice that you're giving to that, that particular line or that moment. Yeah, I would say the kind of things you wouldn't necessarily want to improv, animal sounds. So it's hard if you're not a video gamer and you see your character and he's a lion or a big bird, and they're demigods or celestials or things that they have the outside of the animal, but they're humanoid, right? They're treated as though they are human in nature. I wouldn't add bird sounds or lion roars. I think if it's important to the character, it'll be on the script, like, please give me a eagle sound. Doesn't happen a lot though. And you can add it. It might give me a little giggle, but that's about, you know, the things like that. Animal sounds, stuff like that's not necessarily that important. I would say more than the presence of any kind of improv or pre-life is, what are you adding to it? Are you giving that line with those choices? Whatever it is that you're adding, is that giving it something? Is it adding to it? Is it giving it more? Is it helping us understand your intention for that line. So really, it depends on the purpose, what you're going for. Or if you just want to make me giggle, send me all your bird sounds. I mean, don't send me your bird sounds, but you know what I'm saying. But usually I will say, having worked in an agency and seeing sides from everybody, if they want like bird sounds or meowing, they will say like kitty noises. Or you're a character actor and they send these things to you all the time and you already know. But most of the time in games, we don't need that kind of a thing because we're assuming that not all of you are character actors in addition to, or creature sounds rather, in addition to actors as well. So yeah, no animal sounds, but yeah, if it adds to it, add it, especially in the audition. Who knows what you're going to do or say or inflect in a way that's really going to connect with us. So I would say whatever it is you do, as long as that is in complete congruence with the character that you are presenting, absolutely improv away. You know, I wouldn't get too verbose just because we are listening to thousands of you. So we've got a slot at a time for each, but yeah, that sort of answers that. Do you have to know the rules in order to be able to break them effectively also? Yes and no. Sometimes rules cannot be broken. I would say that position rules, or certain rules around position per company, of course, probably not breakable because they are attempting to level the voice in regards to everything else, like we talked about the mix. It just depends what you're looking. As far as character, just be really sure who you're giving us. If you don't believe the truth that you're creating, I'm not going to believe it either, you know? So rules or no rules, that's where it comes down to the acting, to the heart. Really, what are you showing me in this character? So if that character is a rule breaker, there are sort of anti-tropes that still fit into an archetype or things like that. You know, it's the hero that's reluctant, or it's the you know, big, huge, hulking guy that's as gentle as a lamb. You know, these kinds of things exist all the time in games. You know, you have your tropes, you have your sort of solid fantasies, and then you have the antithesis of that. So in that instance, breaking certain rules would probably absolutely apply. It just depends on the character. But I would say the rules that we're going to go over are not necessarily break them or don't. They are, this is what, to this date, these games that exist in this sphere do this. Games 5 years from now, the tech could have evolved. Some of the things that, I mean, if it does, I'll be surprised because it's pretty high tech right now and it's kind of been sort of in an area for a while. There is a level of technology you can reach and then sort of plateau. Because of how they mix, it's really more creative than a technical decision. Yeah, so it's not rules versus not. Like, who knows what's going to happen or how things are going to change. It's just, these are rules that exist in a lot of these types of games, these ones more specifically than your single players and a lot of your box titles, but the character will always decide whether or not they follow rules or not, because it's who the person is, right? Like, you all get to decide who you are and what you do and whether or not you break rules. So we treat the characters a lot like their own people that we're creating sort of from the ground up, not in a weird Frankenstein way, but in a loving, you know, rearing kind of way. But yeah, so there will be times that you might get into a studio and something I tell you about a trope, let's say a tank, maybe it's an antithesis to that trope, but still has the characteristics of that trope as far as gameplay goes. Well, the way you would play a character in that sort of area wouldn't necessarily be the way you would play this character, but there might be elements of what you need to bring to those other characters that you even bring to this sort of anti-type to the various trope that you're in. But it's completely it's character based. I would say that most of what I'm telling you, I'm trying to think about what could happen. No, what I'm telling you is where we sit right now. I was like, okay, this new game. I'm sorry, I was going through my head and like looking at like dev magazines and new games that are doing new things. But yeah, they don't. This is sort of what we're working with for that sandbox style. And because of the constraints that exist, if you have a player in Turkey and you have a player in Thailand and you have one in America and you have one in the UK and you have one in Hawaii, and the speeds and the computers they're using and the GPU they have and all of these different graphics cards, we essentially, devs strive to make a game that will work across all of those things, unless they're not an international company or they don't care about, other players. So a lot of these rules exist because it will work on the crappiest computer on the crappiest connection, or it will work on the best computer on the best connection. So that's a bit about the technical stuff that probably nobody's ever told you. But yeah, I mean, I would definitely say knowing the rules is important, because then you will see when it might be important to break them. It will allow you to take more risks in certain things to try and find something new. But right now, I would say a lot of these rules are pretty hard and fast for this type of game, at least where we are technologically at this point. There could be a day where you could have 10 different people from 10 different regions having the completely same flawless experience, where everybody's voiceover lines and there's whispering and SFX is also popping off at the same time. It's a little bit like colonizing Mars right now. A lot of people talk about it, but as far as like the ability to do it, it's like, we don't have that. But maybe one of these days, and I'll change my class and say, do this, except for this game. But right now, this is sort of what we're working with as far as the tools go. But yeah, there will be a time that you can break them and it makes sense, which is also fun too, because then it just gives the player something new. We have about 10 minutes left. If anybody has any more questions, I can also give you time back if you don't have those questions. But I will definitely say this has been such a pleasure this morning coming to talk to you guys. I am so excited to get a whole new batch of people to come in and learn about how we work through video games, because it's just, whether or not you've done these things and you don't know why, or you've seen it or you've heard it or you're so confused, there's a moment that it clicks and people start to understand. Charlie's like, yes, I think I did pick on you, Charlie. Unfortunately, during the game, I might have. Oh, you were brave. You raised your hand. So there is that moment when it clicks and you sort of understand the rhyme and the reason between seemingly weird collection of lines that you're supposed to spout out with feeling and absolutely no context whatsoever as to what they're doing. It's a famous one in video games. So we're very sorry that we do that. I mean, some people are not sorry, but I'm very sorry. But it's just, it's a part of how it goes. I think, Troy Baker once said that auditioning for video games is like taking a script, tearing it up into thousands of little pieces and throwing it into the air, picking one, and they say, go. I don't like that experience. He's done it and obviously mastered it over years, but as a former actor, I say recovering actor, but as a former actor, having that knowledge, understanding what's going on that may not even really, you may not even think it affects you personally, as far as your character or things, but there are elements of it that would be very helpful to know, or would be very helpful to have had that information so you can adjust your own performance. So it's a bit of acting. It's a little bit of ADR, coincidentally enough. And then a lot of it is just the technical aspects of sort of what goes behind the scenes and how you incorporate that into the character you build, and even how to spot character choices you might have not even thought were there. So Dominique says she has a load of questions. I mean, we have time, Dominique, so ask away. And if people want to stay after, or I can shoot you my website and my email if you'd rather ask it that way. I'm happy to answer. The world of games is so confusing and so technical sometimes that it's yes.
I'm not laughing at you.
Totally.
Hi everybody. I hope you guys don't mind. I don't have my camera on because I loaned it to someone who is trying to develop some things and they couldn't afford a camera, so I give them mine.
Don't
I
worry
am
about it.
well, I'm a person of color, so I didn't want anyone to think I was afraid of coming out because I'm Black. I'm not. So hey everybody. I have this crazy idea that I did not realize 5 or 7 years ago. Being a Black female, getting the funding was going to be impossible because that was under 1% funding. Wanting to open up a video game studio, that's another 1% underneath, much less it being esports focused. So I was in the not only a unicorn, but nobody even thought it was possible category. And I still haven't stopped. The idea is an open source sort of business model for a interactive media studio, because to me, a video game is simply a playable movie made completely in an engine. I mean, seriously, watch the movie with Michael Douglas if you don't believe me. And if you look at a lot of the technology that's being used to build video games, a lot of them have repos on GitHub to where it's got an open source environment, especially with the engines. So with that entire hive mind out there, and a lot of people such as yourselves who do voiceover and things of that nature, who don't even realize that, you know, video gamers would love to have an interesting voice. They just don't speak normal people. And if you guys knew how to just be able to send information over in a way that they could see, oh, this would be great. And a lot of that's easily done if you knew, as you're saying, Jessica, like, here are the requirements, and it's very simple. That's why I'm saying almost like more of an open source type of model where it's laid out. And it's a matter of trying to get the people together to put those things together in a way to where, I don't know, actors or actresses like such as yourself would actually, audition. Like when you guys pick to do a role, do you care if like, say for example, David, I'm not going to say your name very right, but you've got the white glasses on, bro, you would make such a cool video game character. Like, I would love to see what you would sound like what I want to see how that character would play. I want to know what you would want to wear. I actually want to create a game where people get to it's like a movie. The characters reflect the people who are working on that character, and the gameplay reflects the people who are working on the project because they picked it because they like what the game's going to be and they kind of want to play it. They might not be a video gamer, but they want to play it. So, I've had a lot of people hand me resources or pretty much ask me, well, what do you need? Does that make sense? After the whole Black Lives Matter, everybody's going, well, what do you need? I'm like, a team of people who've built a game to sit in one room so I can pull it all together like Free Code Camp into a huge repository, and that it meets professional standards, because being a person of color, a lot of our projects don't tend to meet up to Hollywood standards because apparently we haven't been on enough of your projects to know what you want. That's the best way I'm going to say it. Because Black Panther proved we can make an outstanding product. We're not going to make it the way you do, but we want the same standards, right? So, Jessica, do you have any idea how to help me put that together so I can? I'm sick and tired of seeing so many really good stories that people are trying to put it in a format that story's never going to get told. Does that make sense?
It totally makes sense. And I am with you. I am pro having our entertainment, be it games, movies, television, music, represent the
You smell what I'm
rain.
cooking.
I smell what you're cooking. The
Because I'm
rainbow
sick and
of
tired of the same. I didn't mean to cut you off, but so
no,
you
not
can
at all.
understand, I am sick and tired of the same cookie cutter character when they do us as females.
Yeah.
We're not all top heavy, and the armor's impractical. And by the way, that is not how I would fight. I'm sorry. Please continue.
No, it totally. I will say that your feedback has been. It has been echoed by people of color, women in general. I know you can only see my torso, but I don't have a 22-inch waist. The things that happen, I also don't have the top to counteract the 20-inch waist. I look like a human. Though a lot of what that is, a lot of things, relics of a time that is beyond time for change.
Right.
And I will say that, when I was at Riot and the team at Riot specifically, in VO and creating characters, the amount of characters that are in creation, that are being shopped, that are being networked and gotten feedback on, that are much more representative of the way the world actually looks and the way the world actually sounds. We're getting there. It's probably significantly slower than you or I would absolutely like. I hope that 2020 speeds quite a few things up.
I'm sorry, I'm not waiting for the misogynist pigs that run Riot, because they still haven't been able to put together a female competitive League of Legends team in their own game. So I love you to death, but they can seriously kiss my entire natural.
And that is,
I have no desire to wait for any of them. I'm not waiting for a man to do any one thing for me anymore. I sincerely, especially convinced that I've seen too many projects in Kickstarter or crowdfunding where audiences will literally, if you will build this, we will pay for it. And there is a way to monetize the game development cycle so that you have people ready for it when it comes.
Absolutely.
So Riot is not my best example. I don't like them at all.
Yeah, and you know what? You are not alone in that aspect. I worked for an incredible team, and our focus was, one of the things that we drove really hard on is that there were some characters in League of Legends that were not voiced by people that looked like their characters. So we started, and it's hard when,
No, it's not hard. It's a matter of when certain people in the industry say, well, it's not diversity, you should pick the best person for the job. How in the heck is a 19-year-old dude who's probably seen more pictures of fake boobs going to make a character of an exact real woman more qualified than a woman who can feel herself and know what it's going to do? So all of that, I accept none of it. I accept none of those excuses. If a white man wanted to make a black game and it was good, it would get made and it would have Samuel Jackson. It's been done. So it's not that. It's not about that at all. It's about the people who are in power would prefer to just reconstitute their own eagle-eyed sense of what the world is supposed to look like, and they get away with it. I don't want to do that anymore.
Could I pipe in as an actor of color who works a ton of video games?
Oh my God, could you please?
Yeah,
I'm sorry, Zahara.
This conversation, and it's like fantastic. I'm so glad that conversations like this are happening. I just want to pipe in that from my professional experience, like things are getting better slowly, and it specifically working on Kale with Riot, with League of Legends, with Jess, it was the first time, this was like 2.5 years ago now, it was the first time I walked into a room and the writer was a woman, the director was a woman.
Oh my gosh.
Was a woman. The sound recording engineer was a woman.
I actually liked Lucian. When they made Lucian, I was like, you gotta be joking. I mean, keep going.
It's I will say things are changing. There's a lot of people like Jess who are in positions at these companies now who have the ability to affect change and are doing so. It's not going to be overnight. And I know it's really frustrating as a woman of color who's often only considered for Indian or Middle Eastern parts. I get it. I get it.
Oh no, but that's
So I
not what I
tell
mean.
white girls
I
from
want to be
Indiana.
that chick. No, and I'm not cutting you off. I'm saying I want to be that chick who makes a company for all of us. I'm not holding my breath for any of them
That's so great.
anymore.
I just want to convey the message
No, go ahead.
for everybody that things are getting better slowly. And I'm so excited. You know, I've been working in this industry for the last 7 or 8 years, and the amount of change I've seen happen in that time, I can't even imagine what the next 7 to 8 years are going to look like going forward with everything that's going on. So I think there's a lot of people who are excited to collaborate. I think there's a lot of people like Jess who are really trying to change the culture of things.
Right.
And so I think there's a lot of reason to be excited about
It's
the
just
diversity of projects moving forward. And everybody go make their own stuff and work with other people, because that's really, truly the only way forward.
And
I
what it is,
know.
oh, sorry.
No, I was just gonna say, and then I'll be quiet. I'm sorry. Soapbox. I'm so sorry. It's just I got in with Sophie that just opened up their own stadium. They don't know what to fill it with, and they never even thought about esports. They haven't thought about having an esports video team or whatever. So I've kind of blown open this door that they're going like, wow. And they're all about finances and, things of that nature. So it's once again of while I have all this attention of people who understand there is not one black IP, one black owned IP in video games. I'm done, people, much less in Middle Eastern. They actually have some sick games overseas that are beautiful. They won't let me played here. So, but there's not one black one. So I love you, Jessica. I love you. I love you. I love you. Send me whatever you have, but I'm not waiting for the change.
Nor you
I want
should.
to have a
Yeah.
company and get funding where I can scoop up all of you guys and find something to make for you guys to be exactly who you are, the way you are, the best at what you are, on your terms. Period.
Yeah.
I'm not waiting for these guys who have made billions of dollars exploiting us. I have seen what they've done to gamers, that's GAYMER, where they've just let their communities run amok and killed kids. So I love you, Jessica. I don't care about any of them. All I care about is being able to put it together where small people can come in like Free Code Camp and see what it is that they can contribute to, whatever. And for me to be able to get a prototype out there, because I've got people like, well, if you get this, 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 and this, knowing that being a Black woman, that's kind of difficult, but I'm going to get it done, then I can have it.
Yeah. And we can, there is,
I'm shutting up. I'm sorry.
No, you're totally fine. I absolutely appreciate your perspective. And I think that there's a lot of important things in what you've just said. And couple things I need to clarify. I am not with Riot Games. I am on myself. I left last year specifically to go on my own. So was a part of them, not currently, just legally speaking. And yeah, it's, I hear you. It's past time for quite a few things. As far as the structure of a company itself, I would say, let's take that offline, because that is so many things that nobody came to listen to today. And I will make sure that you have my email address so we can chat about that. The point that I was making in regards to into the changes. Yeah, I mean, it can be said that absolutely things were done. Things could have been done better when they first started. They didn't have a VO team. They didn't know anything about VO. Most of the times they didn't even have a VO director. So they hear a voice and go, yeah, that sounds good. Let's pick it. And while I would have done things differently personally, and I'm sure Dominique as well, the point I think also that Zara was trying to make is there are people in place right now that are working very hard. And again, they may not be the CEO or the this or that, but in the people that do the jobs, right? Working really, really hard to either correct past mistakes or to make sure that our game, their game rather, not ours anymore. It's hard to say, reflects everybody. And there are a lot of people that are working. Again, there's so much that doesn't happen on a time frame that I would prefer, and that is a conversation for a private time.
Oh yeah,
You're not
no, you're
alone.
fine. It's not
No,
you. It's,
yeah,
I guess the other thing that got me really fired up is Epic Games. They talk about their mega grants, right?
yeah,
And they had their Unreal Fest, and I've been sitting there just at their door for like 18 months. They have no transparency on the process of how these grants get picked. They will not discuss any diversity issues, and when you push them to actually commit to a time frame when they're going to address it, it's just like, we understand it's so yeah, that's a no. If
yeah,
I don't hear an action step with an actual commitment to a time,
yeah.
I've been in the video game industry for a long time. They'll go for the 15 minutes of fame, and then it'll go right back to the misogynistic world it is, and they can have it. That's why I want to build a game for us.
And I think that's exactly, I mean, really, I think anytime people want change, it always comes from the people anyway. And I think that that is a brilliant thing. I'm actually excited to talk to you more about that. Yeah, the business aspect of things, and happy to answer all the questions that I can. But
I'm sorry, I shouldn't have did that.
No, you're no, it's, you know
Baby,
what?
I'm so sorry. I love you so much. Really,
Don't
I do.
even worry.
You are the most beautiful person I've seen in months. I love you to death. I'm sorry. I had to say it at least once in my life.
And yeah, absolutely. We'll talk more about any way that I can try and help, or people that I could connect with that actually, could steer you in a good direction, or provide some assistance. But yeah, I'll make sure that you have, actually, let me just, this
and
is
to
my
everybody
website,
who
y'all.
stayed and listened to me do that, thank you. I'm really shutting up now. I just wanted to tell you guys thank you.
No worries.
I love you all.
Let me make sure that I have said this to everybody. Cool. JessicaEKent.com. If you go there, I have the contact page, shoots it right to my email, and then we can go back and forth. I just don't want you to email me directly and it goes to spam, because I've been having a lot of problems with that, but I always get stuff from my website. So please reach out there, and we'll talk about like the business things, and if there's any resources or questions, all of that I can help with. But Catherine, I noticed that you had a question too. Do you need to say that again, Dominique? My website, so you have it? She's on, anyway, JessicaEKent.com. Oh, there you go.
I was trying to type it in and listen, and thank you.
Thank you, Zara. I appreciate that. Yes, Catherine, you had a question.
Well, it was just more on this concept of, like you had mentioned, that there's this, explosion in consumership, as I said in the chat, of video games, right? And so there's this incredible, audience, and there's, and there's audiences out there that probably the video game industry doesn't know it can hook into. And, the late, great Terry Pratchett made the observation that human consciousness, our evolution, the thing that makes us really different is our capacity for narrative, right? So that the video game is the story that you get to be a part of. That just really kind of resonated with me. So the questions that I was going to have for Dominique is like the idea of open source and crowdsourcing this type of development. Is compelling for somebody like me. Disclosure: total noob, not in the industry. I'm actually in the military right now. I look at places like Obsidian and their Obsidian University, and they say things like internship, here's their summer internship. And all the requirements are 2 or 3 years of experience in the video game industry. And I'm like, how do you get your foot in the door? Right. So if this type of an open source approach to telling stories together, opens the door for noobs to get experience in the industry, I can't see how it could possibly be bad.
I could tell you a couple of reasons why it could be seen as bad. I can tell you it is extremely doable. I think once I kind of dissect a little bit more with Jessica offline, she's probably going to blink and go, "Oh, you mean this?" And it's like, "Oh yeah."
I want you to
And
mean
it's
it.
no, I do. I very much mean it. I've actually I've had several people tell me if you just were not by yourself and you had co-founders, they just don't, they're just like, do you know what you're going to ask for? And they don't want me to be alone. So they've been like, you find good people and I guarantee, I swear to you, you're going to just get the first part built. You'll be fine. On just tarot cards, Catherine, just a deck of tarot cards, which for this video game, that's one of the merchandise things. If you do a search for any Kickstarter on them, as a matter of fact, look for the one that's Adventurer Tarot, because it's a tarot deck based on Dungeons and Dragons 5e. It actually has Wild Oracle. It's got a new class that's Dungeon Mistress. So it's added in some females, and it was completely, a lot of the feedback was done by the community, and they blew doors for that. And that was just without even hardly anybody knowing about it, much less having the new buzz phrase of like the black chick saying, yeah, we're going to exploit everything about this face right here. You bet you're behind, because I want Riot to be in my back pocket. Yes, I am. But they made their budget quite easily, and more people want it. And that's just for the deck. We haven't even gotten to, it comes with tabletop games, and you can put it on Dice 20 and things of that nature and play it, much less them taking that to the next step of making it into the actual video game. So there are projects out there where, say there's another person, is Black Sands Entertainment. He's got his IP and he opened it up to WeFunder. The reason he stalled in his next round is because he didn't properly prepare for financing at that level with stocks and stuff. So he's having a hard time clearing audit. So these are a lot of little things that are happening. There's also Swords Fall. That's another one that was crowdfunded, blew doors because it was a Black RPG. And we haven't even discussed the fact that there's no urban mangas out there that are really getting pushed. That, can I tell you how many Black people are in the mangas? Can I just describe? And we have no merch for us. And that's what I'm saying. Just doing that part. Do you notice, ladies, I haven't even gotten to the video game yet? That will pay for how many people who are in here to actually be on their feet, be happy, support themselves. And I haven't even made the game to have spectators or esports professionals play it. And the stream, do you understand what I mean? So yeah, that's people thinking, oh, you're going to be taking from our pot of the same gamers they keep marketing to over and over again. No, bro, I don't want any of those toxic trolls in my game whatsoever. I am marketing to the people who have stopped playing video games because they can't enjoy it. There's no one fun to play with anymore. But hey, you get a whole bunch of adults who are cool and like to hang out and wreck some stuff and talk some dozens with another intelligent person who's really good at playing a game, or, whatever their play style is. I have never seen more adults run faster. We don't play anymore as adults. We are so serious. Life is not fun. That's why we're popping pills. I'm sick of it. I've got sick mothers with kids in the hospital who they're getting chemo. Why can't they play a nice fun game with, where their kids playing and they can go play with other mothers and hear good advice or an encouraging word, something? Not have to play with some 12-year-old whose mom is ignoring him and gave him an Xbox and called that video babysit. No. I mean, if we got stuff like that going on because a mom's doing the best she can, then that kid needs to be in a group where they're talking with other kids to understand what's going on and learn how to be a good sportsman. I don't want the toxic people. I don't want to market to anybody who doesn't want to play. Don't. Anybody who's like, hey, that sounds like fun. Well, come on in. The water's fine. I don't need to blow world records in 5 minutes. My game plans to be around until my grandbabies play it. You know, like when you make something you want to play, that you are proud of, that you want to talk about all the time, it's good. The people who work for you are happy because you like going to work. Probably because you like hanging out with the people you work with. That's all I'm saying. I did it again. I'm sorry.
You are, it's all right. I'm signing up for your webinar now. That's all good. No, I love it. And that's the passion we need, you know, is that's why I wanted to go out on my own, because I love games. And I think personal story, 2017, I broke my back.
Oh
And
my gosh, you
we'll
okay?
pretend I'm all right. We'll pretend I did something really cool. And that's why I was like saving babies from like a volcano with some puppies and stuff. It was great. I played video games almost constantly because they only gave me opiates and they didn't work. And I didn't want to take a bunch of opiates anyway, especially if they didn't work.
Right.
I had to get my mind somewhere else to just
right?
calm the stress of the pain. And so I think video games have purposes, like you've said. They've got purposes of community. They have purpose of, they could have a purpose of helping somebody navigate a difficult time. The beauty of games is not only that you get to participate, but you get to be with other people. And I think that's why it's spiked so much, especially now that we're all fairly isolated outside of our own groups. You know, we want that human connection. And right now, this is how we can do it. So the passion that you're showing about wanting to have a game that is inclusive and that, you know, works for everybody, and that's a wonderful, beautiful entertainment space to be. I mean, it sounds like heaven. And I want you to do it. And I want you to go crazy. And we'll talk more about, you know, I want you to just, you know, I'm drinking the tea you're selling, my dear.
Oh, it's not. And I promise, I don't want to sell anybody anything. I solve problems. No. I'm saying, like, so you can get to know. I don't sell anything. I solve problems. I give you a solution to a problem you have. That's not something you buy. That's something you want. And right now, just so you know, Jessica, so you can understand, like, let me make it clear. I'm in a subsidized building. So right about now, like, I don't have to work. I'm in pre-SSI because I hurt myself too. Trying to be out here, trying to do things, whatever. All my doctor told me to do for the next 6 months, years, she's like, rest of your life, it looks like, is take care of you and be happy. She's like, what do you need? Because I'm on medical marijuana for intractable pain. My body's trying to pull itself apart from all these years of, I'm not going to blame it on racism, but all these years of feeling like I have to fit into the world in a way that I don't want to, just to survive. I always grew up at where I was less than 1% of the population. I always grew up being taught to live in a world I never saw myself in. And I could never be that person in, apparently. No matter how educated I was, no matter how many degrees I got, no matter how hard I worked. Single mom. I mean, I could say it in a way that you just be like, damn. And it's like, but that's all right though. Because see, now I'm going to take all of that information and put it into a game in a way to where other young women, or however you want to identify yourself as, because gender is just a social construct. It really has nothing to do with who a person is at all. Period. Like, period. I don't want anybody else to have to feel like that. I don't have to change the whole world, but I can help people feel like they can live in it, you know? And I don't see why I would want to stop doing that when I don't have to. I mean, you know? Okay, so I don't eat filet mignon every day, okay? And my life is pretty simple at the moment. I don't care. I want to find people to play with. And I want to play a game that we all like to play. And that's how I want to spend the rest of my life. Because I was engaged to someone that was our dream, and he couldn't handle it. And I still didn't stop. So why stop now? That's what I'm saying, Jessica. I'm not going to stop. Like, if you can help me, I sent you what I sent. If you can help me get a skeleton together the instant I get money, you know, bruh, I'm that serious. I am that dead mysterious. So thank you. Keep drinking. Because I got more to come for you.
I like
I'm
it.
about
Yeah.
to woo you, baby. You about to get just seduced.
All right. I'm ready for it. I'm
I
ready
sent
for
you the
it.
email.
Awesome.
So,
Thank you.
and somebody keep up with David because, oh my goodness, I gotta do something with that. You were just adorable. Like, and have you ever heard of Zulu? Zoolool. It's where you can get glasses that are really fashionable, like you wear for very inexpensive, and they're good. Oh, they also make gamer glasses with the blue blockers.
Oh, I got these from Zenny Optical.
Yeah, that's what I'm telling you about Zulu, because they have the blue blockers.
Oh,
and they also got the more updated fashions. I love Zini. Don't get me wrong. That was my that was my go-to for years.
I stay away from the blue light filter glasses because I got a wonky prescription and also my eyesight isn't that bad. But also I already have that filter built into my monitor, so I don't.
Oh, so you don't recommend it? Because I haven't gotten them yet.
No, they're good. It's just that nowadays your software, your OS will come with the it will change the colors on your screen by default. So it will do what the blue light glasses does without you having to wear them on your face. And for me,
thank you for telling me I don't have to buy them. Yay!
Yeah, I know, at least at the very much on Windows that it does that.
No. I'm saying thank you. Yeah, but like small ideas like that, like all gamers wear glasses, right? Being able to put up, when I'm doing promotion for the company, saying like, hey, the company, we all wear Zulu. This is where we get the glasses. Just, here's the truth of what you need to know about this, that, and the third. That's affiliate marketing. That's partnerships. That's a little bit of money. It's people do not understand these days. It has to be microtransactions. You cannot have a business model survive without it being a series of portfolio diversified microtransactions. If you're getting all your money from one space, you are really not in a good place.
I would say diversification in this year and beyond is you are 100% correct in being able to find new way to do things like this class via my office at my house. Yeah, it's true. We've all got to, switch things up a little bit. And I'm very excited to read your email. So thank you so much for sending it to me already. And we'll talk more about.
I kept it very brief.
Yeah.
To just send a link to, there's a little site that I put up. There are some pages that aren't there. There's a project site that's separate. So that if you're just like, well, let me see kind of the pieces you pulled together for certain things, I have notes for days. And instead of overwhelming somebody with all the notes, I felt it would be better for me to just let them ask the question so I give them what they need. But there's a book.
Awesome. I'm excited to read. Thank you so much. And I appreciate your perspective as well.
Okay, now this time, is everybody good? Because I feel like I just took over her webinar. Like, y'all, that was so nice. I did not mean to do that. She's beautiful. Aww. And I didn't mean to come in late. My notification didn't go off. I was so pissed.
Oh, no.
I was working on the project, and so I had my head down. All of a sudden, I'm like, why? Because I was thinking, isn't it about time for you? And it's like, I'm late. I was so mad.
No worries. That is, I like to say that every day is Blur's day in quarantine. So time is weird right now. I will say though, in regards to David, David is a very good actor. So if I'm not saying your game's not amazing, I'm just saying he's wonderful. So catch him while you can.
Bruh, what you think I'm trying to, bruh? And I mean, bruh is an expression. I'm saying, dude, bruh, I know that man he's going to cost me pretty penny because look at him. He's just so fly.
Don't worry.
The dimple too? Ain't nothing cheap about you.
I'm a gamer through and through. Jessica knows this about me.
Oh yeah, trust me, but I'm gonna make sure that smile stays on your face, baby, all the time.
First thing she was just like, so have you played this game before? I'm like, trust me, and I've played all the games. And she's like, all right, this makes it so much easier. Don't have to explain what an alt is.
It shortens the conversation. And if you don't know what these things are, I'm going to help you so you can have short conversations. Like I said, David, the whole point of this is helping to give actors who may not have the experience or the tools or like, I think games are cool, but I can't do it. It's essentially trying to remove that barrier of entry for new awesome talent.
Yeah, and I think one of the best things about what we said back when we had our session a couple of weeks ago was that you do, and what you mentioned in the beginning is that you have such a small roster of only so many voice actors that you can't necessarily reuse when you create unique characters. And I think this provides yet a great opportunity for people to kind of explore and get out there and really dive into a genre that is my inspiration and is something that has helped me throughout my life. And which still carries a relatively negative stigma in society for various reasons I don't know and don't understand. But and it's just to be on that side one day of like getting cast in something where you can say I play a character in a game that, one day you're going to be on the other side of the handshake line and people are going to say, your performance helped me through hard times. And like, that is just a wonderful experience that all these actors just say through a way where everyone's telling them video games are dumb, stop playing video games, don't waste your time. And all of a sudden now, like, you're like, no, it's it's very helpful in a lot of ways. And, and Jessica has a lot of that insight in terms of working with these actors and helping those performances come out. And I think it is just a wonderful and an amazing opportunity to have these classes going on. And I'm definitely looking forward to all that because I think this is one of the quickest ways to really understand how to work especially in these environments going on right now with how the game world is shifting, the games that they're putting out and the types of characters that they're making for these, knowing that they want to cast people that do now look like their character archetype, the people that when they do put on accents, they want to make sure they sound like real people and not like caricatures and all these sort of things. So I think this is just a great way to address all that and really start moving forward and continue to keep that momentum running in the video game world. Yeah,
I love it. One of the and it's out there, so I can say it. One of the last things that I did as a part of Riot is I helped cast and put together a very special character. Well, two characters. So for Legends of Runeterra, there is a character that starts male and then ascends female. It's been confirmed that the character is trans. We've had an incredible actor, Maddie Taylor. She's a personal friend, but she is also a phenomenal actor, has been working for years and years and years. So one of my proudest moments was not only to have a character like that in the League of Legends world, and really bring that representation to the forefront, but to also make sure that the trans character is voiced by a trans actor. And that is a world that I want us to go towards because our voices are so unique and they're so special and they bring perspectives and they bring wisdom that we will never know as our own individuals sitting in our own worlds. And the ability to do that, even one character is, I could go away forever and that will be my crowning moment. And while it is a occasion when these things happen and it's intermittent, I am exceptionally excited for projects like yours, Dominique, in the day that more devs bring this to the forefront, so much so that it is no longer the exception, but it's the rule. And that is what I hope to do as well in the projects.
Oh, don't hope, Jessica. I'm gonna tell you two things. One, tell me why is the first playable trans character. It should be coming out before the end of the year. It's been in development by Dunted Entertainment. I could look it up, but that's part of my research. Two, it's not a try. It's not a I hope. It's I am going to. They all must be action words because you cannot activate the law of attraction if you do not state to the universe, this is what I'm going to do. This is what you sent me here to do, right? So this is what I'm going to do. And then God goes, oh, so you want me to make the way for that now? Well, yeah, because this is what I'm going to do. When you say try, he's like, oh, you still thinking about it? Are you not sure? Well, then let me just wait. I won't send you anything if you're not sure. I don't want to waste your time or anything. Yeah, no, 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 no. That's not, I've learned so much from men. Women, they ask, men command. Women, um, they don't take risks because they need to know that it's going to work because they're worried about the kids in the home and everything like that. A man will tell you they can do something and have not the first clue what he's talking about. He'll just ask questions until he does. That's why men get more money and negotiate for higher salaries, because they have absolutely positively no problems saying what they're worth and making you pay it, even if they're not worth it, even if they have nothing to show for it. They have no problem saying that they can do something with a confidence that they don't deserve. And women don't do that, because when we make mistakes, we usually pay a bigger price than a man does. You know, we go home to a kid that's not going to eat, or other things that happen to us. And that's just not, that's made a difference in how we approach life and how we've been able to stay in a very small position. But if you look at women like Hazel Scott, she was, look her up and see what she did for people back then in the movies and paid the price for it. And there are a bunch of examples of women like her. And it started with them saying no, because they knew they were that good. And it's like, so no, I can stay right here in this little spot and play to my heart's content, and people will come find me because I'm that good, because they enjoy me that much. So unless you are doing something I want, the answer is no more than yes. And I got that definitely from the shark, Damon John, after I kind of like said what I said to him. And he doesn't like a lot of people, and he really doesn't talk much, and he's been following me ever since. And he point blank said, because I was starting out like you were saying, you know, like I hope and whatever. And he point blank said to me, tell them exactly what you want and tell them why you're the only person who can get it, and they will come to you. So I'm telling you that, Jessica, because you have worked your butt off. I know who you are in the industry. You have worked your butt off. And that's why I'm saying to you, oh no, you would stay by my side if you chose to be, with whatever you wanted, because you should be there already. And I'm so sorry that it's going to take this black chick over here to get you there with nothing but a face and some attitude. And you're the one who actually has all the hard work of putting up with all that bullshit. But hey, I'll do that for you.
Thank you. That
of
is
course.
very kind. Yes, and that's very good advice as well. I appreciate that. I don't mean to end this conversation, but we are wildly over time. So
no, you
sorry.
need to end it. I was trying to say goodbye, but it was David got me over here just in my feels.
He's good. He's good.
And Charlie got me over here just, oh my God, I could just cry. And you still listening, no matter what happens, I just had to make sure I left you with what's in it for you. What's in it for you, Jessica, is finally being in a position you long since deserved.
Thank you. That is very, very kind of you to say. And I appreciate that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I love you guys. This time I'm hanging up so that I can let you guys go. Now, go have fun, you crazy kids.
Yes, indeed. I love it. Thank you so much for your guys' time. I appreciate you being with me. If you're interested in my class, the signups are there. You can also go to helpnet.com, the Help Network. You can also Google as well. They also have an incredible list of teachers and people there as resources for actors, in addition to a lot of resources just for the industry as well. And I'm so grateful and so honored to be a part of their group now. So thank you so much. This was an absolute wonderful time. I appreciate you going over with me, and hopefully we'll see each other again soon. Be safe. Bye-bye.